What's good with it? So today I will be reacting to Pippen versus Jordan, the saddest beef in NBA history. So Jordan and Pippen, it feels like it's a one-sided beef. I haven't heard Jordan say anything about Scotty, but I have heard Scotty complain and or say how Jordan wasn't like that, how he has problems with Jordan, this and that, just the whole nine. And so I'm interested in seeing or hearing about why these two have such, I guess, just such an unnecessary beef.
Do you think that Michael Jordan would be as successful without you?
No.
I mean, obviously not. I mean, look, Jordan would have been successful, but bro, Scotty played a big part. Once again, basketball is a team game, bro. Like, don't get me wrong. Jordan is still, the best in my opinion, but still, bro, it's a team game. He needed Scotty.
Do you think that Michael Jordan would be as successful without you?
No.
In 2009, when Michael Jordan entered the Basketball Hall of Fame, the first person he mentioned and thanked was Scottie Pippen.
You never just saw me, saw Scottie Pippen.
Next year, it was Michael who presented Scottie to the Hall of Fame. When Pippen worked on ESPN and had to do a LeBron versus Jordan comparison, Pippen said this:
And there's no game that I would ever play in and pick LeBron James over Michael Jordan.
But this was in 2018, when Scottie and Michael's relationship seemed like the happiest marriages. While Jordan was known to be a harsh teammate who bullied players and even punched Steve Kerr in the face, we never heard those kinds of stories about Scottie.
Bro, Jordan was back there beating him. Jordan turned it to Joe Jackson. I'm gone. Beat it, Michael.
Bullied players and even punched Steve Kerr in the face. We never heard those kinds of stories about Scottie. And then came the pandemic, and the sporting world stopped.
He has just tweeted within the past 2 minutes that the NBA is suspending the season.
Deprived of anything to cheer for, Netflix offered a 10-episode salvation for all sports fans. It was The Last Dance, a long-awaited documentary about the last season of the Bulls dynasty, with behind-the-scenes footage nobody had ever seen before. And when the documentary came out, that's when Scottie's and Michael Jordan's relationship started to change. See, The Last Dance wasn't really a basketball documentary. It was more like basketball was just a means to an end, and where historic NBA events were used to tell a preset narrative. And that narrative was to glorify the cult of Michael Jordan and his place as the basketball GOAT. The Last Dance presented basketball in a way that can be understood by non-basketball fans and casuals. It was directed in a way that puts an individual over a team, which is not surprising, considering that director Jason Hare needed Jordan's approval to make the film, and that Jordan's presence in the film was conditioned by his control over the content.
I feel like I'm seeing where it's going, bro. Scotty feels as if Jordan kind of sidelined not only himself, but also his teammates as well. And so, if that's what's going on, then I mean, it is a bit more, I guess, understandable as to why Scotty has kind of turned on Jordan. I don't want to say turned on him, but how he speaks of him in public has changed.
The film, and that Jordan's presence in the film was conditioned by his control over the content. The Last Dance minimized the roles of Jordan's teammates, not properly explaining that MJ had by far the best supporting cast in the NBA. The documentary never mentioned that Steve Kerr was the most accurate three-point shooter of all time, that Horace Grant made 4 all-defensive teams, or that
How do you not spotlight this shit in the Bulls, in a Bulls documentary? But I mean, it was kind of centered around Jordan. It's called, The Last Dance. So, I mean, it was kind of centered around him, and he was the main selling point of it. But still, bro, you gotta include this shit, man.
Three-point shooter of all time, that Horace Grant made 4 all-defensive teams, or that Tony Kukoc was the best European player and the most versatile power forward in the NBA. The doc barely mentioned a defensive ace Ron Harper, and they completely failed to say a single thing about center Luke Longley. Dennis Rodman got a lot of screen time, but much less as the best rebounder in NBA history, and more of a party animal that Jordan needed to drag by the ears from Carmen Electra's hotel room. But the player who was most hurt about the whole thing was Scottie Pippen, and it's not hard to see why.
I had a ruptured tendon in my ankle, and I decided to have surgery late because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to my summer up trying to rehab for a season.
Scottie Pippen of the Bulls will be out for 2 to 3 months.
What Scottie was trying to do was trying to force management to change his contract. And Jerry wasn't going to do that.
MJ called out Pippen as being selfish for delaying surgery. That season, Jordan was making $33 million, while Scottie was earning just $2.7 million.
Michael. That is crazy, bro. That is crazy. Calling them selfish while you're getting paid all of that. I mean, I'm not sure how these contracts were set up, when and where, look, I'm not sure. But still, bro, that is crazy. Maybe Jordan signed his contract after Pippen signed his. And look, I don't know, man, but that is kind of crazy, bro. And then on top of that, Jordan is getting endorsements and stuff. I'm sure Scottie got something, but man.
Was making $33 million, while Scottie was earning just $2.7 million. While the second episode of the documentary did center around Scottie and his unbelievably hard road to the NBA, in the end, the focus of the narrative quickly returned to MJ. And despite being so Jordan-centric, The Last Dance was a successful project because it achieved 3 goals. It managed to entertain and occupy the sports world in the biggest absence of sports since the 1860s. It served as a nostalgia for the people who lived through the Bulls dynasty, and it revitalized the interest in Jordan among the younger generations. If we look at the doc as an entertaining story for the masses, The Last Dance absolutely killed and knocked it out of the park. But in terms of explaining basketball nuances and strengthening relationships between the Bulls players, The Last Dance backfired completely. In May 2020, after the last episode aired, Jordan sent a rare text to Scottie Pippen. "What's up, dude? I'm getting a word that you're upset with me. Love to talk about it if you have time." Pippen did call him back and explained his displeasure with how the rest of the Bulls were portrayed. When asked about it, Scottie backtracked a little bit. "This documentary has not changed our relationship. We will be friends forever."
Scottie, bro, you gotta stand on principle. If you feel some type of way, let it be known, my boy. But it is good that Jordan did reach out to him and ask him, and whatever. What's the problem? Whatever. But Scottie, if you got a problem with him, bro, you have to tell him, bro. I don't want to say be a man, but damn. But damn.
I told Michael I wasn't too pleased with The Last Dance. He accepted it. He said, "Hey, you're right. That was pretty much it." But it wasn't
Hey,
it.
you're right.
And this comment aged badly really quickly.
You don't give a
In 2021, Pippen started to unravel his feelings about Jordan, issuing a series of comments during the promotion of his autobiography titled Unguarded. Scottie told a story about how Jordan used to cheat him out of $100 during each Bulls game by bribing the staff to tell him who was going to win Jumbotron races. During a GQ interview, Pip accused Jordan of being selfish for leaving the Bulls to pursue a baseball career.
What did you think when he said he was going to go play baseball?
Scottie, I ain't gonna hold you. It's some, I don't know, bro. If you had a problem, just tell him, bro. Making a book and then airing out your problems and stuff to the world as well is just mental insanity. I don't know, bro. There's some little kid shit.
Yeah, it was a big decision, but
you gotta man up, bro.
It was a selfish decision, but it was kind of who Michael Jordan was.
Implying that he spent too much time grieving the death of his father. Scottie also
What do you mean? He spent too much time grieving the loss of a parent. How the fuck? How and why are you mad at that, bro? I just lost my mom like a year ago. Like, I'm not over it fully, but it takes time, bro. Even still, he lost a parent. Buddy, how could you be mad at that, man?
downplayed Jordan's flu game, saying that he didn't receive the death of his father. Scottie also downplayed Jordan's flu game, saying that he didn't receive any praise for playing the 1998 finals with a herniated disc. But the biggest criticism about Jordan the player was when Pippen said that the Bulls didn't win 6 rings because of MJ, and that they did it in spite of him. Seeing again how poorly Michael treated his teammates, I cringed, as I did back then. We didn't win 6 championships because he was tough with the guys. We won in spite of his bullying. We won because we played team basketball, which hadn't been the case my first 2 seasons when Doug Collins was our coach. In his book, Scottie also changed his perspective on the LeBron versus Jordan debate. I may go as far as to say Mike ruined basketball. In the 80s on the playgrounds, you'd have everyone moving the ball around, passing to help the team. That stopped in the 90s. Kids wanted to be like Mike, and Mike didn't want to pass, didn't want to rebound, or defend the best player. He wanted everything done for him. Crazy. That's why I always believed LeBron James was the greatest player this game has ever seen.
See, Scottie, he seems a little two-faced. Don't sit up here and tell people on national TV you believe Jordan was better than James. And then years later, after Jordan did something to, I guess, make you mad or something, you make a book and then you say LeBron was always better, blah, blah, blah. Bro, look, at this point, I just feel like you're lying. Like, at this point.
He does everything and embodies what the game is truly about. The rest of the book was even more critical about Jordan and The Last Dance, saying that every episode was the same. Michael on a pedestal, his teammates secondary, referred to as his supporting cast. Michael could shoot 6 for 24 from the field, commit 5 turnovers.
You're not lying.
He was still, in the minds of the adoring press and public,
he did have
the errorless Jordan. Scottie was also pissed that Jordan received $10 million.
This mascot is taking me.
The errorless Jordan. Scottie was also pissed that
why is he so short? This man. No offense to anybody who might be, in there and might be a bit shorter. Also, these players are like tall as shit. But yeah, just Benny. Benny, what happened? Who is this? This ain't Benny. That ain't Benny.
The adoring press and public, the errorless Jordan. Scottie was also pissed that Jordan received $10 million for his involvement in the documentary, while he and the rest of the Bulls got nothing. Pip wasn't done there. He also unloaded on Phil Jackson during an interview with Dan Patrick.
No, I understand that, Scottie. I'm just going by what you said. You said you need to read between the fine lines. It was a racial move to give Tony Kukoc a rise.
So, well, I mean, if you knew that Scottie Pippen had been with the Bulls from '87, wouldn't you give Scottie Pippen one opportunity to get a last-second shot without Michael Jordan?
But have you talked to Phil about this? Because by saying a racial...
I'm not sure if it was racially motivated. Like, bro, Phil coached a lot of black players and players of diverse backgrounds, So, look, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I can't say for sure, but if I had to say, I would say no. But I don't know Phil personally, so I can't, just say outright. But at the same time, just seeing how Scottie moves and how he acts, in my opinion, it appears that he's just a bit bitter about certain shit.
Michael Jordan.
But if you talk to Phil,
is he next to the Henny?
One opportunity to get a last-second shot without Michael Jordan.
But if you talk to Phil about this, because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
I don't got a problem.
Scottie took shots at Charles Barkley, calling him not dedicated enough to win a title, and Isaiah Thomas, whom he called a dirty player. However, while we do agree that The Last Dance was overly centered on Jordan, and that there is a lot of truth in Pippen's words about the documentary, we can't escape the feeling that Scottie overreacted. In the doc, MJ still said there is no Jordan without Pippen. The Last Dance covered how underpaid Pippen was, and his success as the leader of the Bulls without Jordan. Phil Jackson called Scottie the second best player in the league, and the doc mentioned Pippen guarding Magic in the '91 finals instead of Jordan, a key moment that turned the series around. So for Scottie to be going on this kind of media rampage, it just feels like a bit too much. We understand that it's hard to be the Robin to Jordan's Batman and live constantly in his shadow.
And that's probably what's going on. For years he's been hearing Jordan was the best, and this and that. Jordan and Pippen, this and that. So to me, it feels as if he's tired of being in Jordan's shadow. And I don't know, shit just hit the fan, and he was like, bro, look, I'm about to just air it out, man.
We understand that it's hard to be the Robin to Jordan's Batman and live constantly in his shadow, and then relive that all over again in the documentary. But after the dust settled and all the insults had landed, it sounds like Pippen was just trying to say outlandish quotes to sell more copies of his book. And throughout all of Pippen's badmouthing, Jordan never said another word publicly. There was no statement, trash talking, or even acknowledging that Pippen suddenly turned into his biggest hater. It was only a sign that all the bridges were burned and that their relationship was broken beyond repair. To add insult to injury, in 2022, MJ's son Marcus Jordan started dating Scotty's ex-wife, Larsa Pippen, which certainly didn't feel...
His ex, I don't know. And really, she ain't even that bad. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, I ain't wanna have to say it, but she ain't even that bad, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. And she just be with everybody got. Everybody get it. Everybody get a piece of the pie. I'm next. No, I don't want it.
Marcus Jordan started dating Scotty's ex-wife, Larsa Pippen, which certainly didn't feel good for her ex-husband. Wherever Scotty looked, Jordan was sticking it to a Pippen. It seems like his anger towards MJ will not stop anytime soon.
How does that relationship even come into fruition? She probably saw him growing up as a kid and stuff, like, bro, I don't know. That's a little, that's given an island that starts with the letter E. That's given, PDF. Okay. Anyway, Scotty, he has his gripes with Jordan. He has things he clearly dislikes about him. And you can't blame him fully. But at the same time, some of the shit he said and done, I do kind of side eye him because it's like, why would you say it or do that? Look, I don't know Michael Jordan personally. I don't know Pippen personally, so I can't say who's right or wrong. But just based off how Scotty has moved, I would say he's somewhat more so in the wrong. But at the same time, Jordan is still at fault because, bro, he is kind of just glorifying himself and placing the spotlight upon himself and no one else. So it's like they're both just doing wrong, but is no one is doing right, basically.